Peace and blessings, family. Ooh, Sister Gwen B. Sister Gwen B. How you doing, Queen? Um, I'm just so excited when my king, I always say that, but it's always true. Whenever he says, let's do something together, I am there. I am so there. So I'm oops, I got my mic on over here or the volume on. So let's turn that off right there. And let me pop out the chat because I always like this chat better. Um, and so today I know my king is going to be doing some serious just sharing with you family. Some for me teaching. Not everything are we gonna agree on, but there's one valuable action in all of this that I wanted to share with you, which is that none of us are meant to be robots. We're meant to forge civilization. Civilization is understanding how to run with those who maybe have a different gait than you do, maybe have a different just method of getting ahead. But as long as you're all heading in the same direction, and I know with that man, I pray I am heading in the same direction. Um, then that's what we're supposed to do. And so when he suggested this topic, peace, brother Shakur, how you doing? Good to see you. Um, when he suggested this topic, I was just like, this is his live. All of them are his lives as far as I'm concerned. But he's going to teach. And if I have any questions or if I have anything that I'm like, well, I'm not sure about that one, I'm going to voice it. But I ain't no Jada Pinkett, okay? So that ain't happening. I'm going to just accept the fact that in any relationship, you have individuals. You don't have factory made components. And this man I respect more than any other being I've met in my entire life. And that's just the fact. All right. So, praise the Most High is my light and salvation. Ooh, I forgot to get your chair. um, and peace to you. Thank you for joining us. Without a doubt, it's good to see anybody and everybody who comes on through. So, let me turn the mic so it's facing the direction of my king more. And I don't know how many people are already aware of the real history of Thankstaking. And I have to say, I was horrified to learn the just blood curdling details of it in terms of how it wasn't just one. It wasn't first off those pilgrims who had one egalitarian ceremony and everybody was getting along. There were carnages that would happen so often that George Washington, their first president, official president, um, designated one day, Thanksgiving, for holding this celebration because otherwise it was holding up commerce in the colonies because there were so many incidents of colonists just going to whatever group of indigenous people they could find and just killing. I mean, where they would burn the entire longhouse and fill it with the indigenous men and the women and burn them alive and the children, rape, pillage, carnage. That's just what they did. And it was all very hysterically funny for them and enjoyable so much that they wanted to do it on a consistent basis. I don't understand anything of the sort, but they seem to have a propensity and a comfort and a love of gore and on top of just taking over people's lands. And so, greetings, King.
Peace.
Peace.
What up?
Good stuff.
What up? What up? What up? We here for the Thankstaking Special. Thankstaking. I got that term from Brother Steve Coakley. He said we're going to have he used to have anti-Columbus Day, right? And they used to have a Thankstaking event every year, he said, in Chicago. So I thought those were interesting terms, Thankstaking, because that's really, thanks for taking, thanks for letting us take this. No, that's the secret. Nobody let them take nothing. All right. Nobody let nobody take nothing. All right. There was fighting from stem to stern. All right. There's been fighting in this hemisphere. Wow. I don't know. It got to be over 1,000 years of fighting.
Right.
Just in this hemisphere alone. I'm not even talking about getting white people. Before the white people got there, was fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
It was fighting because there was invaders coming to this land back then.
Well, you mean the Spanish, the conquistadors?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about before them. They were invaders. You know what I mean? They were invaders, just like there was slave trade before Europeans got to Africa. There was a lot of slave trade going on. All right. In fact, if you study Columbus's real writings, he wanted to come here to help stave off the Moors. Because there was always trade. There was already trade going on here before Columbus got here. There was trade going on between Africa. What you call Africa and what you call America was going on already. All right. For hundreds of years, thousands of years before all of that. All right. So they're really Johnny come lately. He's trying to take credit as usual and whitewash everything up like they did everything. It's a whitewash. That's all you're doing right now. You're dealing with history. You're dealing with a whitewash. Just like if you were born today, anybody watches TV today and studies Cuba would think Cuba was white.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Right?
That is true.
If you study Mexico, you think you go watch TV about Mexico, you think Mexico is white. Right. All right. They're whitewashing everything. They're whitewashing things now. So what you think they did to history? All right. They've taken you out of it. They've taken your achievements out of it. They've taken your place out of it. They've taken your rights out of it. They've taken your land out of it and put a white face on everything as far as they're concerned. All right. So when you talk about Thankstaking, you're talking about based on their history or their version of history, these pilgrims were suffering and dying in this colony, which wasn't really a colony. It was just a damn fort in the middle of the wilderness. It was a fort probably by the water so they can get out of there quick. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a colony. You think about a colony, you think about this big giant. No.
Right.
These were little fortifications that they had in the wilderness.
A camp.
A camp, basically. A camp. This was a camp. Exactly. All right. So we got to get our perspective together when you're thinking about history. All right. You're thinking about a colony. What's a whole colony of thriving? No, it was a camp. Of people who were outcasts in England. The pilgrims were outcasts. All right. And they had to leave. And they came here. All right. Or they were sent here. Put it like that. Because you needed people. You can't have a colony if it's not manned by people. So what the British did, they would send anybody that was wanting to get anybody that was undesirable or had any inclination about getting out, or a prisoner or whatever, or a thief. All right. They sent them to the colonies. All right. So if you were accused of doing something, it was called transportation. All right. They call it transport. You're set for transportation. That means you're going to go into the colonies. So you can go as an indentured servant, or sometimes you just went because you had to get out of town. All right. So it's like they used to tell the black folks, you go to jail or you go to the military. All right. So you go to jail or you go for transportation. Whoop. Transportation is better than getting hung.
This is true.
All right. It's better than getting hung. And you have to understand, this is the what year would the pilgrims get there? 17. First of all, this is a totally stylized depiction. Let's get this straight here. Totally stylized depiction. You know what I mean? So you can't trust the artwork at all about what you see. You can't trust the artwork at all, unfortunately. because they stylized out. It's like the paintings you see of the Middle Ages or the Renaissance. You can't trust the artwork. They don't show the fleas. All right, they don't show the sickness. They don't show the pock marks from the diseases. They don't show the teeth falling out or teeth.
Yeah, and they don't show them like, and they got the Indians on the ground.
Exactly, it's subservience. Exactly.
And they don't show
this is all.
They were starving.
Exactly.
White folks.
This is all propaganda here. You know what I mean? And it wasn't one Thanksgiving. This is what. First of all, Indian is a misnomer. Right. There's no such thing as an Indian. What is an Indian? Unless you live in India. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they even called it India back then.
I don't know about
Did they call it Indians? Call it? I don't know if Indians even called their place where they lived India back in the 400 years ago. Mm-hmm. All right? Because you usually, when you have the people that live there have a different name. These are names that were placed on it. Like we didn't call it Africa. Mm. All right. Mm-hmm. Nobody called the continent Africa because we weren't African. Mm-hmm. All right. You call it a Kibalon, or you call it by, whatever your tribe name has for it. You know what I mean? The term Africa comes from Romans. Romans had a deity called Africa that they worshipped. And in that deity's name, they had a part, they carved out a part of the northern tip of Africa near them. Some would call it Carthage or that area. Mm-hmm. And they called that Africa Proconsularis. Oh. All right. Mm-hmm. Africa was a Roman deity. All right. So they're telling you about the Afri name. No. We didn't call it. No. Mm-hmm. The Afar did not. It's not. Africa's not named after the Afar. All right. Romans named Africa, not the quote unquote Africans. All right. So the same thing with India. Why would they call them Indians? Why Indios? Of course, they was calling them Negroes first.
No, I didn't know.
Yes, the Spanish called them Negroes. They didn't call them. They switched to Indios for political sake. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. You have to understand. The whole history is about your robbing of your birthright, the robbing of your people, destroying your legacy, so they can lay claim to the land. Mm-hmm. All right. The Declaration of Independence. How did they proclaim a declaration? How did they claim a Declaration of Independence? If these were all colonies of the British government, right? What would they? How could they declare independence? By what right did they declare independence?
Oh, okay.
What do you think? That's a good question, right?
No, yeah.
You know what right they declared independence from? These white boys had went around and started becoming members of these tribes. Charles Thompson's, John Hancock, they started becoming members of these tribes. They were marrying they were taking on wives from these tribes. So they would have a land claim, a right by blood now to this land, because I'm in this tribe. I'm a member of the quote unquote Powhatan or the Lenape. All these tribes. Lenape was down there. Mm-hmm. They called them Lenape at that time. That's not their name, but that's the name they were using. Mm-hmm. And Charles Thompson himself, who was the secretary of the Continental Congress for 15 years for the whole Continental Congress, he's the second. When the Declaration of Independence was printed the first time, there was only two signatures on it: John Hancock and Charles Thompson. All right. So these guys, by becoming parts of these tribes, these nations, as they call it, if you ever listen, they call them nations. Mm-hmm. See, because the Declaration of Independence is a political statement. It's a doctrine. It's a document that proclaims me a separate nation. By what right am I claiming a separate nation if I sent you there to colonize it? By the right of the indigenous people that I am connected with. So that is what they used. That's the subterfuge they use to claim your quote unquote 13 colonies. All right, because if you study the history, they would always that was part of their culture when they would bring when the Europeans came. They would always, if they didn't kill you, they would invite you in and give you food and shelter. All right,
right.
It's really just two reactions, basically.
Right.
Either we gonna fight or I'm going to welcome you with open arms. All right. If you look at it, it's like that. Because remember, the Europeans didn't come in fighting because they were outnumbered and outmanned. So they had to ingratiate themselves with gifts to the people that were here, right? The natives of the land. All right? Because you have to get intelligence before you can take over a people.
Right.
All right? You just don't come in fighting.
Especially,
you know what I'm saying?
When you got a whole continent filled.
Exactly. So you got to get intelligence. You got to know who don't like who. Who's big here? Who's big there? What grease they have? You know what I'm saying? They're not stupid. Remember, you think they're big, but they knew that they were outnumbered everywhere they went. The white boy knew he was outnumbered everywhere he went. He was a minority. He still is a minority. All right? So they have to use intelligence. You call it the intelligence community. All right? Because they go in, learn the native tongue, find out who find out who got beef. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we can use this one against that one, because they can't defeat a united people. They have to cause so divisions or take advantage of the divisions that already
Sir
exist.
John Hawkins. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So that's what you're dealing with. So the pilgrims, and this thing is, come on. We know this is we know what happened. They were starving, and the people that were there, they
took pity on them.
Gave them help.
Yeah.
Showed them how this is what we grow here. This is what we do here. This is how you get the food. This is the fruit you can eat. This is what you can't eat. They had to learn all of this stuff. Remember, there was a culture here already. We had cities here already. There were cities. There were mounds. They were called pyramids. We call them mound builders. That's our people, the mound builders. We already had pyramids here. You got a pyramid, you got the original man. That's a clear sign. Nobody else has got pyramids. White folks didn't have a word for pyramid because they ain't never built one. All right, those are our terms. All right, so that's what you're dealing with when you came here. So as far as this being, like I said, this is totally fabricated. This image here, most of the images are totally fabricated. They were usually painted or drawn almost hundreds of years later. All right, and they were used to develop a culture, to develop a mythos for the nation. All right, because you got to have a mythos to draw the people in and have them have something that they can rally around. You got to have a mythos. So Thankstaking is part of the mythos. Christmas holiday became part of mythos. All of these holidays are just mythos designed as rallying points for the populace, so we can control them. That's all you're dealing with. All right. So as far as us and them, they are the usurpers. All right. They're usurpers. And they know that. But they have been successful because they've obliterated the history. As far as we're concerned, most of our history has been obliterated.
And it's a never-ending. So
use a coon, use a spook. You had bones in your nose. You weren't doing nothing before we found you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the mythos. That's the end identity we have. We have taken on. That was given to us. That's not who we were. That's something that was given to us as a replacement. If you ever watch Blade Runner, remember the movie Blade Runner? So you had these robots. They were robots or androids that they had created to work in harsh environments. All right. The way they controlled the androids and kept them grounded was they gave them memories. Because they found if you didn't give the androids memories and something to hold on to, a past to hold on to, they would become rebellious, or they would become they would come destructive. They'd be hard to handle. All right. So we have to implant these memories. If you watch Blade Runner, they went as far as giving them pictures of parents they didn't have. All right. They will hold on to these things as mementos could ground them in the culture,
the
society they were in.
Right. I have a place here.
Exactly. So that was a controlling mechanism, giving people memories, giving people the memories they want you to have. So this is what you're dealing with here in the United States of America. You've been given the memories they want you to have because this is a controlled environment. This is a controlled experiment. This is an open air asylum.
I've called that many years now.
All right. So they have to do this. And there's a point I was going to make about that. That's why if you look at the media, they don't really talk of the past much detail. You don't get any details of the past.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
You don't know about the struggle. They don't teach you about worker struggles. They don't teach you about child labor. All right. They don't teach you about Shays Rebellion. Shays Rebellion. All right. They don't teach you about all the many rebellions they had, all the many battles they fought with the natives. They don't teach you about this stuff. They don't teach you the squalor that the majority of people were living in this country up until the 1950s. You know what I'm saying? And people were still living in squalor in the 60s and the 70s, and they still live in people still living in squalor now.
Right. Yes, I was surprised.
So that's what's going on. That's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with amnesia, historical amnesia that's on purpose. All right. Because they want you to think that everything has always been like this to keep you stable. All right. Because you don't realize you've had a history of struggle. You've had a history of fighting. All right. They replace all of that with you can't fight City Hall. What's one man gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They replaced all this class struggle, all this race struggle, all this stuff has been replaced with these archetypes or these cliches. All right, to keep you in your place.
Yes, it's always such a factor in my life. When I was about 9 years old, sitting in a car with my dad driving, my mom in the front passenger, and I said, I want to change the world. And I meant it when I said it. And at that moment, it's like all the air went out the car. And because my parents were like I even at 9 years old could tell that they were trying to figure out a way to calm down my lunacy. Like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if that's going to be possible, honey.
Of course, because that's the ones they're really worried about is the youth. And so they got the parents even telling the youth to take a chill pill. Chill.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No white person in the car at all.
Don't worry about where we don't. No, you ain't got to go like that. Because the youth are the ones with the energy, the vitality to do it because they're not invested. Once you're invested in the system, then it's like, but I got the mortgage, but the house, but the car, I like, but the new Benz is coming out. I got to get one. You know what I'm saying? Or this is coming out, or I got to get that. No, once you invested, they got you. That was the trick. That's why they invented the middle class, to get more people invested, because the poor was becoming a problem.
Right.
The middle class was made. It's like the poor are a problem. All right. If you look at this called Gilded Age, which was the times before, right? It's like the same as the Victorian age.
Yeah, the 1800s.
1800s.
Early.
No, cats. Yeah, the poor people was actually shooting at rich people, bombing their houses. You know what I'm saying? It was getting a little wild up in here.
Where they lived.
It was wild up in here. You know what I'm saying? That was getting out of hand for them.
Yeah, they had to start the Pinkerton.
Yeah, we got to get something. We got to do something else.
Yeah.
Because the poor are the problem. So what we have to do is give them a bone, make them feel invested in us in this situation, because we need a buffer. It's called a middle class, to buffer us from the wrath of the poor, who we are taking advantage of, or who we utilize. I mean, come on, you can't have a rich man without having somebody poor.
That's right.
All right. It's not money's not created in a vacuum, even though they do print it up. But all that stuff has to have it's capital has to be somewhere. The capital in the United States is actually in the debt, refinancing their debt and selling off their debt. But the real capital is in the humans. Well, it was, because remember, this was an industrial country up until the 1970s. So the real capital in the United States was in human capital, be it the slave trade, farming, or factories. You needed manpower to do these things. You needed humans. And you still need humans to buy the stuff that's being made. So the real economy even today's economy is a consumer economy. So without consumers, the economy stagnates. That's why they have this thing that's so important called the holiday season, starting with tomorrow, Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because this is where they can use the consumer, they encourage the consumers to spend.
Yes, it's crazy.
On goods
Platforms
that they don't need.
That I did, like we have ad block.
Yeah.
And they are just, I think of it as a small scale colonization where they are doing their best, even on websites where it's usually just news information. They're inserting sponsored by.
Yeah.
Part of the news feed.
Yeah.
And they're trying to have headlines that make it seem so you will forget that it says sponsored by, the headlines that sound like it's a news story.
Exactly.
And it's
a press release.
Yes.
It's not a news story, it's a press release.
It's so insidious. It's so desperate. And I look at this stuff and I'm like, do they realize that you make me never want to buy your stuff again? If they were genuine, then maybe I would give a damn. But all these companies are such rapacious liars. And what's going on this planet is just so unforgivable. And they say not a damn word. That when I see these things, I'm just like, I'm even if I didn't know the truth about what they do to us, I would be so sick of the commercialization of everything. A lot of these holidays are celebrated at a level that they never were. To start with, they were much more low key and okay, this thing is happening.
There was no consumer economy.
It's crazy.
There was no consumer economy to depend on. Remember, a lot of these. First of all, most holidays you have are based on celestial events. All right, they're wrapped around stars and moons and things like that, or solstice. These are natural occurrences. All right, but these natural occurrences were celebrated by us, but not to buy stuff.
Right.
But as to recognize our connection with the universe.
Right.
They were recognition of your connection with the universe. That's what they were designed for. That's what we did. That's the celebrations that we had, Aboriginal people had. All right. They weren't to sell you something. They weren't to set up a table or event and sell you some shea butter or sell you a TV set or Xbox. No, that's not what we did.
The village needs a better economic footing.
Yeah,
Let's do a festival.
But even for the Europeans, they weren't doing that initially. Of course, we didn't have economies like that. It was barter and trade. Most Europeans, come on, they didn't even have money yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So everything was wrapped around some quote unquote spiritual event or some ritual. All right, that's what they wrap these things around. Now the money thing came later. And the consumerism came later because remember, you didn't really have a consumer economy until the early 1900s.
Right.
Because before the early 1900s, a woman had one pair of shoes, one skirt, a hat, you darn your socks. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't buying a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, you weren't.
There was no washing machines. There was no vacuum cleaners. Nobody really had electricity.
And they came up with the Sears Roebuck catalog.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's really what the beginning of the consumerism was, the Sears Roebuck catalog. That's the beginning of consumerism as you know it today. Right. You can buy a house through the Sears Roebuck catalog.
Oh, I didn't know you could.
Yeah, they had houses. You can buy a prefabricated house. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what you call the internet now, you can owe that to Sears. All right. This thing came around and it's like, ooh, they got addresses. Yeah. But even then, nobody had money, disposable income like that. So you still needed to create a quote unquote middle class and a credit system. Buying things on credit is what spurred the consumerism. Right. All right. So now we got 3 easy payments. 12 easy payments.
Right, layaway.
Exactly. Then now we can start get me a couple of dresses now. You know what I'm saying? Couple of hats. No? So that's what we're dealing with. So you have to recognize the transition economically in the country. All right. So, of course, what you're dealing with today as Thanksgiving is not what they were dealing with. What you deal with today as Christmas is not what it was 100 years ago or 200 years, definitely not 200 years ago. All right. How holidays and things are expressed is much different. All right. Because you got to remember, everything was family based 100, 200, 300 years ago. All right. Everything was wrapped around the families. The families would do the celebration. The families would set up everything. All right. So there was no media of sorts other than a newspaper, if you can read.
Right.
You know what I mean? And remember, even literacy was not big, you know. You know what I mean? Until, you know what I mean, the late 1800s. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Necessary.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a little Bible, you know, you read a little Bible or something like that, but you know, and you have maybe somebody would read the paper. But everybody didn't read. All right. So you got, when you look at the past, you can't look through today's glasses because you're going to misinterpret every time. All right. The conditions were different. The people were different. And
one of the things that you said to me, and also one of my favorite channels, Each One Teach One, also said that little is shown that a lot of us in the United States were free.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah. I think, you know,
they had to invent a term for us because we didn't go away on the Trail of Tears. All right. And we didn't come in on a boat. So they called us free people of color.
Okay.
That come out of North Carolina. Okay. That term came out of North Carolina. It's called free people of color. All right. Because we was here before them. That's the secret.
Right. I know that. I think the only like disparity for me is on a biblical scale, which I don't have to discuss, but also when I look at the Aboriginal people from deep within South America, I don't see
first of all, if you're talking about Aboriginal, you're talking about black. So if they're not black and nappy head, you ain't looking at Aboriginal.
Okay, well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't see that, and I don't see any Aboriginal.
Listen to me. That's my point.
Okay.
They're not Aboriginal unless they're black and woolly haired. That's the Aboriginal.
Oh, okay.
All right. So that's what I was saying. It wasn't just us here. There were invaders that came too.
Right.
All right. You call them Austria, you would call them almost Mongoloids. You know what I'm saying? You can see them because that's what they present to you as an Indian now. Usually they're the Northern Plains Indians. They were kind of like white looking. Keep it up. They had that European nose and stuff like that, and things like that. Well, not a European nose, but they had straighter noses and long hair and straight flaxen hair. You know what I'm saying? Those are the ones they supplanted to you as being Native Americans. See, those were supplanters. Those were people that were fought. Understand, to take over, they did not have enough Europeans to take over the country. They had to put tribes against each other. All right. So what they found was there were different phenotypes even in this country at that time. Everybody wasn't quote unquote Aboriginal because we had people coming in from Asia already. All right. And these quote unquote Mongoloid or Asians were usually up in the north, and you would call them, they look like the ones you have on TV that the white people imitate all the time. All right. But then you had the originals, who we would call the Shi or the Mayan or the Olmecs. All right. These were the Aboriginals. All right. These are the ones that were doing trade east and west, what you call Africa and here. All right. So we already had a transcontinental thing going on.
Right.
All right. But invaders came from the north. And these are the ones that they would use to fight us. They are the ones they used to get us out of Delaware and Virginia. And up in here, up in north, even northeast, there's black folk up here. You can look at the pictures. I ain't got. I mean,
yeah, I know. You should have did that.
I got pictures somewhere, but yeah, we
got have to do that because I don't.
You should look at the people in Manhattan. You should look at the people in Manhattan. You can look at the woodcuts. The people in Manhattan, man, it's like they all nappy headed.
Right.
Know what I'm saying?
I understand.
So they moved us. So just like the famous book, The Destruction of African Civilization, the same process happened over here. All right. It's really destruction of aboriginal civilization, of original civilization, all right, of the original man. That's what the destruction is. All right. It's a whitewashing of our history and our accomplishments.
Okay.
That's what you're dealing with. All right. So that's my point now. Yeah. So basically the whitening, the whitewashing of history, the destruction of our cultures. All right. We were the Yamasee, Seminole don't mean nothing but black. The Yamasee,
Yeah,
Seminole,
I could go with the Seminole,
the Choctaw, the Cherokee, the Lenape,
okay,
all of these people up here. That's what I'm saying. The quote unquote the Powhatuns, the quote unquote Delaware Indians. Yeah, those are people.
All right. I'm going by I didn't get the documentation either, but the documentation that, they had the African Abyssinian churches, and that there was other laws down on the books that said that the native people, they had us as slaves, and they forbade intermarriage of any sort. They didn't refer to us as that other tribe. They referred to us as dogs.
Of course they did. Because they did. Because we would usurp their claim to the land. There was no Negro as a made-up term. They made the term Negro because they had to separate us from our land. And of course they used the Abyssinians because that was their niggas. All right. Those were the ones that came through the Masonic training. Okay. Yes, the Aboriginal Prince Hall Masons. Yes, they are Masons. Yes, they're the ones that came through the training. The whatchamacallit in Philadelphia, the AME Church is an outgrowth of that. All right. If you ever look at the quote unquote colonization movement, it was started by some white boys and these Abyssinian and these AME ministers out of Philadelphia.
We'll have to have this conversation again.
Oh, this conversation. No problem. I got all the documentation. I got it. I got the documentation right there in black and white. You ain't heard it. That's all you can say.
Whether it's I heard it or I haven't, I'll have to bring my documentation.
Yeah, well, you can bring. I know what you got, so it ain't no problem. I know what your documentation is. That's what I had first. Yes, I did. We had that first. Of course, I know that documentation. We had that first. That's what we jammed. That's why we denationalized now. That's why we denationalize now, because we're using the wrong documentation. Okay. And all of our stuff has been given to us. The whole, man, don't even get me started on this thing, bro.
Okay, bro.
The max back, I'm just trying to say in general. The whole, if you ever study Francis Boas, the father of African studies is a white boy.
No, well,
listen to me. Okay. The father of African studies is a white boy.
No, I'm not talking about him.
I'm not talking
about the documentation that's on the record.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about I'm talking about the chain of thought that you're coming from comes from him.
No, it's not him. These things are on the register.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, that's not he didn't write that.
First of all, the African origin of the black man comes from the white boy, because we ain't have no Africa.
I'm not talking about the name.
I know that. I know what you're saying. But my point is that, everything they taught you is backwards. All right? Everything they taught you is backwards. You're going the wrong way, so you come to the wrong conclusion. That way you ain't got no claim to the land. You think this is about land claim. This is about blood rights. All right? Well, this is about nationhood. This is what we're talking about right now.
My whole conclusion is the entire planet is ours, because
of course the earth belongs to the original man. The earth belongs to the original man. Exactly.
So I'm not worried about their laws and their maritime.
But I'm not talking about that either. I'm saying that we go back further here than people want to admit.
No, I know. I'm okay with the Olmecs.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the before Columbus. I believe all of that. But when I hear, because I've been talking about
everything is ludicrous, man. They say 50 million people died in the slave trade. Really?
I don't know.
That's
where
an
they said
impossibility.
that. I don't know where they.
That's
said
what I'm saying.
that.
That's the numbers don't even add up. They're talking
Okay,
about.
I don't know where you got that number from.
They all said $15 million in the slave trade, $50 million, $250 million in the slave. It's like watching the damn Manchurian Candidate. You haven't heard that?
No, I've heard how many were transported over.
And the transport numbers don't make any sense either. What was the population of the United States of America in 1776?
I don't know.
Look up.
I would have.
Look it up. Just type it right in. No, let's not go that far. The population of the United States of America in 1870. They had a census then, so we can do that.
Okay. Let's see.
You went to the wrong place. It's about $36 million, but I can go. You can check it out.
Okay. All right.
Look it up. You can look it up.
No, I'm trying. I'm just trying to get raw figures and not all. Okay.
Yeah, 38 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now look it up in 1877. I mean 1776.
1776.
I didn't actually. The first census was in 1790, but they will have actually the first census was 1790, but look up 77. They might have some numbers for that.
$2,500,000. But
listen to me.
Okay.
How many people were in? What do you think the population of New York City was at that time?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not. My brain isn't
about
thinking.
40,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right. About 40,000 citizens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And no, I'm sorry. That wasn't. No, Philadelphia was the biggest city. That was 40,000 citizens. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia was the biggest city at that time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And if you look at the map of Philadelphia, 1776. We're doing real live time Google search on you, fam. Philadelphia, okay. Map of Philadelphia, 1776. Largest city in the United States of America, and would be the United States of America, 1776. Go to the pictures. Go another one. You got the scales not right there. Go to the first one.
Go to the first one. That is the first one.
Yeah, go down. Okay. Get a bigger scale on you.
They're all pretty.
Yeah, you know why they're all pretty small? Because Philadelphia was tiny.
What? Which one? This one?
Look up anyone. Zoom that. No, not that one. Go up again. Right, that one right this there. Plan of the city. Yeah. Okay. Click on that one. Yeah. See that?
Mm-hmm. They're not gonna.
How many square blocks you think is that?
I don't know. Maybe about 50.
Maybe at most.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you see where most of the action is at. If you look at most of the action is right here.
Yeah.
By the water, right?
Right.
Because you know why?
Why?
Because everything else was native land. All right.
Uh-huh.
They had just like we said. The Pilgrims had a camp.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
These weren't big cities. They had little spots. If you look at what New York City looked like, it was just the tip of Manhattan. Everything else was native land. All right.
Okay. Let's see. I guess, yeah, that was about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Why do you think they call it Wall Street? Because that was the wall at the end of the city. Oh. You ever been to Manhattan? You went to Wall Street?
Mm-hmm.
That was the end of the city.
Okay.
Everything else was wild lands as far as they was concerned. All right, so we got these little encampments that you call cities and colonies that were surrounded by millions of native people. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the population of these countries weren't that big. And remember, even in the census, they were counting the quote unquote slaves. All right.
Did they? I don't think.
Oh yeah, 1790. Because I've looked at the census data. They would have the owner, they count a household, and it'll list free white man, free white woman, slave, quote unquote slaves or non-free people.
Oh.
That's they had in the 1790, 1780, all the censuses up until 1870, because slavery had been abolished, would show you the household and how many indentured people they had enslaved or captured, basically. All right, and the numbers don't add up. And if you look at the slave rolls, the amount of numbers that they count coming in on the slave ships is no more than 400,000 bodies.
In what, a year? Or
no, total. This is the numbers, and they keep copious records on this stuff. About no more than 400,000 people were imported. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Something's rotten in Amsterdam, New Amsterdam.
All right. Well, I'll need a lot more.
Oh, there's a whole lot to this. It's a whole lot. This is just a little stick your toe in the water thing.
See, now for me, the biblical part of that is
that shall be a stranger in a strange land. They will afflict thee for 400 years.
And you're coming across the
but you can't look at it. I understand what you're saying, but you can't look at it literally. You can't look at everything literally, especially the Bible. You can't look at it.
It's not that I'm looking at
a stranger. Right now, we're strangers in a strange land because we're existing under somebody else's culture and ideology. All right, we've been on a journey because we've gone from freedom to enslavement, and we still got more journey to get back to freedom. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yes.
It's not that. It's also, I know Black people, right? I know we're going to get the message out of what's going on through the generations. And I never got any tales from, don't believe them, we don't come from Africa. And I know that's not what you're saying. You're not saying that.
Yeah.
You're just saying that the pool of those they enslaved is vaster. And those that they imported, and those that they imported, that they didn't import as many. I need more.
Oh, no problem.
Actual proof. Thereby, and I'll have to bring the data that I've seen that just goes African ad nauseum. That doesn't go native or Aboriginal.
They don't. First of all, they didn't use that terminology, so it wouldn't even be there. And the census don't say African at all.
Well, the
census says Negro or Black.
No, these different institutions that we formed, they use
but
African. They use terminology and references to African.
Yes, I understand that. In fact, they used that during the Dred Scott case. Can a son of Africa be respected as such and so and so? But see, that was the trick bag. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
That was the trick bag.
Yeah,
that was the trick bag. Yes, I know what you're saying, but the term Africa is being misused. All right. Or son, of course, they remember that in a son, they even call them Ethiopian because that's what the AME used. They didn't call you African, they call you Ethiopian. All right. The sons of Ethiopia, because the Bible says the sons of Ethiopia will do such and so and so. All right. So, like I said, we're getting ideology and Bibles mixed up. It's all ingrained in here. So that's where the confusion comes in. All right. So the language, of course, has been tricked. They tricked up the language before that. You got an AME church when they switched you from Negro to Indios. That happened in the 1500s. All right. So they had tricked up the language way before that time. They had begun tricking up the language. That's what you got to understand. So the terminology we're using now does not have the same meaning as they used then. The same thing goes for the terminology they used in the 1800s. All right, because you're dealing with a programmed denationalizing movement to steal the land. All right, you have to genocide and denationalize in order to take over the land. See, nobody was here. Well, we did business with the one we had. They moved out. All right. And if you're in New Jersey, everything is named. Everything got a damn Indian name. You know what I'm saying? All the places got a quote unquote Indian name, native name.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? well, the places like Pennsylvania, hell yeah, all these places,
Mm-hmm.
all up and down the East Coast. So where'd they go? And then even it's so crazy, especially in the Northeast, because they try to act like there was no slavery up here either.
Mm.
If you talk to people, they swear there was no slavery. They act like they knew it was, but if you talk to people from this area, you would think that, oh, it was terrible down south.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, yo, Sojourner Truth was a slave in New York.
Mm.
Read her book.
Yeah, I did.
She was in New York State, right?
Right.
Not even New York City. She was upstate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Even the 12-year slave guy, he was in New York. And they sent him down. So, but they didn't have to send his ass down south because there was slaves right there where he was at. Know what I'm saying? So that's another, that whole thing was a trick bag. 12 years a slave.
Yeah, I know.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, why would he didn't have to go down, he didn't have to go down south to be enslaved. He didn't have to import his ass nowhere, but he could have been a slave in the same town.
Right.
Know what I'm saying? Because they didn't, slavery was made illegal in New York State in what year? I don't know. In the 1800s, I believe.
Let's see.
Abolished in New York City.
Oh, that's it.
1817. So what the new, obviously they were in concert with the British. What year was slavery abolished in Britain? On August 1833. Very interesting.
Okay, so after.
So they were ahead of the British. Yeah, slavery abolished 1817.
Right, and the British were supposed to have been, cutting edge.
Yes, so I think that's very interesting.
Right.
That's very interesting. But yeah, so up until 1817 can't be right. Maybe I have to look at her diary again.
Okay.
Yeah, but in other words, the colony of New York was formed in the 1600s, I believe. She was born in what year? Sojourner Truth was born 1797. That's when she was born, 1797.
Right. She escaped with her infant daughter to freedom in 1826. So obviously that 1817.
That wasn't accurate. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that they was more in line with the British.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was game. So see that? Yeah, New York was a colony for how many years? 100 years before it was even formed into the state?
Well, I don't want to short side what I need more documentation for all of this. Simply because so much is factored in to my own self-identity. And, I need the proof. I'm not somebody who works just on emotions, even though I'm very passionate. I don't just go by, okay, well, this feels this way, that feels that way. I need the documentation.
Yes.
In order, because it's like with people who want to accuse everybody in Hollywood of being, a trans-sutured person.
Aren't they?
No, they're not.
They're not. Sorry.
Not everyone. So I always am like, I need to see the birth certificate. I need to see the childhood photos of this person running around as the opposite sex.
Yeah, no doubt.
So same thing with all of this. And I'm grateful for this conversation because this is something that, I don't want to give people an impression when you're in a relationship that everything you do, you're going to see the same as the other person. That makes absolutely no daggone sense.
Yes.
So I'm grateful that actually we have done this so that I can explore more, because if I'm going to be intellectually honest, I have to look at the data and make my conclusion based on that, not just based on.
That's what you have to do. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do. That's what's supposed. And this is not a new conversation, but it's not an old conversation. It's not a new conversation, but it's fairly new for us, for our people in general. You know what I mean? Because we've been inundated with, because all of our scholars have been African scholars that you respect. Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben. You know what I'm saying?
Right, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop.
Diop, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So there's very few, you know what I'm saying? You've got very few scholars that even talk about this other than Shashi McIntyre.
Oh, I don't even know.
Sister Shashi McIntyre. She was the first one to even talk about the quote unquote Indian black connection. You know, you need to watch her lectures.
How do you spell her name?
Shar S-She McIntyre. McIntyre. Yeah, you need to watch her. They're hard to. She's hard to find, but she probably come on YouTube. You see, it's hard to find. She's an older sister.
Okay.
But she was teaching this in the 80s and the 90s. Dr. Shashi McIntyre. She got some YouTube videos. Matter of fact, I'm gonna post some up because I got a bunch of those.
Okay.
Yeah, but she talked about that. And they came before Columbus. That's what they were talking about. All right. Dr. Africa was teaching us about this, matter of fact, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, okay. Because Dr. Africa, one of the things I always loved about him is that he did firmly say those boats came from Africa.
Yeah, the boats did come from Africa. We're not saying the boats didn't come from Africa.
Okay. See, now that
we're not saying that.
Well, there's some people who I just make an automatic declaration or diagnosis who are traumatized by our enslaved past, and I don't blame them. I remember the painful moment I had to
Ivan Van Sertima, that's what
right, Ivan Van Sertima. I had to tell our son that our people had been enslaved, and it was traumatizing because he did not want to hear that.
Yeah, and
I felt the just a rebirth of the pain of it that I had, because I don't want a child who's misinformed and delusional. And so there's just so much attached to this. Is our self-identity is attached to it. So I think some of these people really are pained about what we went through, even though it's a blip on our history.
Exactly.
And they do this everywhere they go. They do it to all people in that whole nonsense of, well, I think slavery was a choice. You need to study what's going on in China right now, and you will understand how people can just get caught out there.
Slavery is a program. It's not a choice. It's a program of domination.
Right.
And control. That's what it's for.
Yes.
And economics. Don't forget that. It's the economic back. You know, it's big. It's an economic thing. But yes, there were slave ships. We're not saying there were no slave ships. That's crazy.
Okay.
Yes, we are mixed diet. That's my point. Today we're all mixed lineage. All right. We're of Moorish descent and of native descent. We're of both. Because what happened was, on the continent, there were some people that nobody liked. All right. Not just us.
Okay.
There were some people that nobody liked. You have to understand. You have to really study history, because Prophet Muhammad was a black man.
Yes.
All right. And there was a war between the black man and the Arabs. All right.
That makes sense.
Islam is black.
Yes.
And the Arabs were not.
Right.
All right. And there was a war between the Arabs because even the Quran says the most stubborn, the most violent, and the most stubborn and harder to teach would be the Arab. The Holy Quran says that. Why would they say that about Arabs if Prophet Muhammad was an Arab? Prophet Muhammad wasn't an Arab. All right. So there was a war between the Arabs, who had been enslaving us for 1,000 years, and the black people who just say, yo, we had enough. This is not happening no more. All right. And what happened was, if you ever studied history, when I was studying the history of Islam, I found something weird. Like, after Prophet Muhammad left, it's like you had two caliphates all of a sudden. The caliphate is the throne, is the head of Islam. So there was a split. So the once Prophet
Sunni and
white and black. That's what the split was.
Wow.
That was the split. The white folks took an aspect of it, and they took it over, quote unquote, Mecca. And then the Africans the black people, the original people who Prophet Muhammad was part of, they ended up having to go to what you would call Africa. They were in Egypt already, and they took over Africa. That's where you got the Mecca connection at. All right. The Saracens were the black people. The Abbasids were the white people. All right, that's what it came down to.
Okay.
So there was a split. That's how you think we got up into Spain and Portugal.
Right,
because the Abbasids took over Arabia and everything north of that. And a lot of eventually it got most of Africa, the top of Africa, eventually.
Right.
But we were still running Africa. The Abbasids, Arabia, of course, is part of Africa, but the Abbasids took over that what you call the Middle East.
And so were there some Saracens who went on up to Spain?
Exactly. We were there already. We were all in Africa. So we just crushed right over to Spain.
And so they just kind of cut off.
They split it up. That's why you had two caliphates. I never understood why they split up. No, it was a black and white thing. They had usurped Islam. All right. And then they're usurping the Islam. They took their thing north, east. Which would mean Middle East, the quote unquote Middle East. Right. And we were still in Africa. That's why Mansa Musa, African, that was Islam. Right. Mali, Shanghai, Timbuktu.
Right, when it came to civilization.
Because it's like, because my thing is like, why is your jumping all the way back to Kemet for black civilization when we had thriving black civilizations under Islam? Recently, easily documentable. That's part of the Masonic trick bag. See, right? That's the Masonic trick bag. They want you to skip a whole piece of history,
right?
And go to all of that stuff in Kemet when you had a thriving civilizations and kingdoms 500 years ago,
right?
And libraries,
right?
All right, because remember the Greeks took over Egypt. In what year was that? That was before. That's before Rome even took before Rome even came up. The Greeks, Ptolemy,
and Ptolemy, right,
took over the leadership of Egypt. All right, so Egypt went Greek,
right, and they changed the name,
of course.
Yeah.
All right. So what happened was the Africans end up Prophet Muhammad, who you call Abdul Malik. He was the one who went in there. That's why they fought in Egypt. They were fighting in Egypt against the Abbasids. All right. All of that.
Right.
Africa. All right. They were fighting all of that. But eventually, like I said, that's when the split happened. And that's when Mecca and all that stuff came up. And don't get me started. But basically, we were the Moors. You call them Moors. Muslim black people. They were called Moors. All right. Moor means black. Yeah, that's all it means.
That I know.
Moor just means black. Another term for black. Aboriginal is another term for black.
Right.
Seminoles, another term for black.
Right.
Yamasee is another term for black. All right. Muskegee, another term for black. She, Olmec, Mayan, these are black folk. All right. These are all your people. These are original people. All right. But anyway, the secret of the Moors is they taught the Europeans how to navigate the seas.
Right. Otherwise, Columbus.
That's why the lessons tell us Columbus was a half original man. They say Columbus was the origin of Christopher Columbus is really mixed up. They say he was not Italian,
right?
But he wasn't Portuguese,
right?
Okay. But he was coming out of Portugal, but he wasn't even Italian. So Italians claim somebody ain't his, and the Portuguese never even claimed Columbus, which is really interesting. But the lessons say Columbus was a half original man. That means that. Who was in charge of Spain during that time? And Portugal? The Moors. The Moors. 1492 was when the Moors.
They just kicked them out.
That's when they had exactly. What was the Inquisition about?
Right, getting
rid of the Moors.
Right. Are you with us or are you not? Right.
Columbus's mission was to help stop the rise of the Moors. Because the Moors had a firm stranglehold on the whole quote unquote Africa America trade already. They were involved in that.
Right. Because even in Columbus' diary, he talks about finding more coins, Moorish coins.
Yes. Because we were already doing trade. The Moors and the Olmecs, who are the same people, were already doing trade there. Right. All right. Your history is bigger and more beautiful than you think.
Right. Even their like those since they're scientists, like even a David Icke, they always hint that there was some great civilizations that were interconnected all over the
Hell
planet.
yeah. And of course, there was a landmass.
Right.
First of all, there was a landmass there between quote unquote Africa and America. You call it Atlantis, Numer. We had other land masses.
Okay.
But there was a big cataclysm,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of things happened. Like we will talk about the cataclysm tomorrow night when we do the health class.
Okay.
Ooh, of course, that's
yes.
critical
for
understanding the health aspect, the restoring Black health thing.
Mm-hmm.
We got to understand. We got to talk about the cataclysms and the results those cataclysms had on us physically, on the world physically, not on us, the world physically.
Okay.
Because that's going to be a big part of the class tomorrow night. Don't miss it. Go to a website and sign up for the Restoring Black. It's a free Restoring Black Health Zoom meeting we're going to have. All right.
I'm looking forward to because we will not be censored.
And it's just going to be on health. So, I mean, it's going to be more focused.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a PowerPoint tomorrow so I can act like I know what I'm talking about.
You do know what you're talking about.
Act like I know what I'm talking about. So I can be like, yeah, okay, see, we got a little focus here. But yeah, go to $25,000yearcycle.net. Go to the events.
Oh, I could have just did it from there.
Yeah, you should have me booked. I'm not bookmarked. Like for real.
I'm not.
You ain't got. We not even bookmarked. Like we don't matter.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, you go to 25,000yearcycle.net. I'm going to change the the web address in a minute, but after this class, you go hit the Restoring Black Health link and go down. Scroll down.
Oh, okay.
So
I just wanted to hit the link so I could put it.
Yeah, then you just RSVP.
Oh yeah, you just
you got to RSVP, and then I'll send you the link tomorrow, like around. I think we start at 6 before class start. I'll send you the link to sign in. All right. Because that's where we at.
Oh, thank you, Sister Gwen. You fast. Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, that's just the website. Go just hit the direct link.
Okay.
Because I know our people lazy. I don't want to have to scroll down nowhere. That's direct link to RSVP. No. See, I'm doing this on purpose because if you can't even go through the difficulty of registering, then you ain't gonna go through the difficulty of restoring your health. All right? If you can't go through the difficulty of RSVP and then putting in your email address to register, ain't no way in hell you're gonna restore your health.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I was just thinking on my run today about how too many of the people we know personally in real life are succumbing to various ailments, and they're our age.
Yes.
I'm just like, I first off, because it also made me conclude, my king just did a search on our ancestry. Yeah. And he found out that both of our family lines go back to the 1700s.
Yeah, as far as I got so far.
And that's as far as he got so far.
Yeah, because I do genealogy too. I'm doing a genealogy service.
Right.
So people you can hire me and I'll go do your whole family tree back.
It's amazingly fascinating.
Yes.
But at the same time, as expansive as, like all these grandmas and grandpas and greats and all the rest of it are, your family and I don't meet up anywhere. So our bloodlines are connected because we're Black. But at the same time, that's how vast populations are. And for us to be thoroughly unrelated, and yet both of us in this house experience capital health. That's about more than just
exactly.
It's in your DNA.
Exactly. It's more than that.
What we eat.
Your DNA can be corrected.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Your DNA can be corrected. Because what happens is you have genetics that you get from your parents. All right. But then you have genetics that you acquire from your bad habits. All right.
Right.
So genetics you get from your parents can have flaws in it, but then you quintupling the flaws with this bad food. All right. So you ain't got a chance. All right. So what we're talking about now in restoring Black health is correcting your genetic signature for yourself and your progeny. That means your future. All right. So you can pass down better even better genetics. You got the nappy hair and the big lips and nose already. You already got great genetics.
Yeah, that's solid. That's
what I'm
solid
saying?
right there.
But now we can get rid of those flaws that we got, that we've acquired from the environment we're in. And we're gonna get into that tomorrow too. All right. Because the problem we have a perception problem. We're not perceiving things properly. So I have to expand. We have to expand our perceptions of health.
Right.
All right. And then we can start working on it. And even if we not able to extend our lives now because we're older, and at least we cannot die in suffering, brain damage, stroking out and stuff like that. Or maybe we can just go out quick, like he just died in his sleep. He just died in his sleep. So he just didn't wake up. Right. He just looking just as peaceful as can be. Poof. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. I don't need you dying and having to wear 3 Pampers and not knowing your name, not recognizing your children.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And feeling scared.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna be scared anyway because you're going out, but. Even if you don't know about it, and you ain't gonna be scared. It's like, oh, I just went to sleep. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But this fear is enough without the ailments.
Well, I mean, because with both my parents, I saw them go into a decline.
Yeah.
Is when you get the Pampers.
Yeah.
You're not happy to be a grown person.
No, not at all.
Pissing and pooping in some diaper. No. So you are not going to be in the best mood. No. So
even if you don't utilize it, I'm not going to give you an excuse of not knowing.
Right. You can't say
we're not going to give you an excuse of not knowing.
Yeah.
Like you might not be. You might not take prevention against radiation, but you can't say you didn't know about it.
Right.
All right. You can't say you didn't know about it. You can't say you weren't warned. All right. Because as we learned in the nation, a warning is a mercy. And who don't want mercy?
Right.
Don't you need some mercy?
That's beautiful. I always think about that. I'm like, the Most High has given us so many gifts, but we've let our enemy define what a gift is supposed to be.
That's right.
And so we are rich.
Yeah.
And we don't have a clue.
Exactly.
Because we think it's a Lamborghini and it's nothing of the sort.
That's right. And we can give mercy to each other. But nature ain't gonna give you no mercy.
Ooh, that's right. That's right.
We can get them in nature. We can't make nature give you mercy. You go against the laws of nature, yes, your ass. You're gonna have to deal with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we can give you a warning so you don't go against nature the best we can. Right. That's the gift that we can give each other. All right. And I think that's a great gift. A warning is a great gift. So that's what we're dealing with. So, come on in and register that. Hit that link. Know what I'm saying? Sign up. And we ain't got to go long. Open up the line. See, maybe we got something to say.
Does anybody have anything that they want to share? And we'll give it some time because last time, Brother Yapo came on through just as we were closing it out.
Closed it out. Like, so we don't want to spend much time talking. When if y'all got something to say, you want to add on.
Definitely.
Add on.
Come on in.
If you act wild, we're going to cut you off, though. Let you know.
Yeah, and there'll be no tears.
You wild out. No mercy. Sorry, you got it. Nah.
So, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Look at that. There's 22 people watching.
Oh, beautiful.
Welcome, family.
Peace.
It's good to see you. I'm glad that I put the early announcement up. Brother Daryl, I feel that's what I should be doing. I should be greeting your family because I just absolutely adore you. So let me go on up here. And hopefully something will show up. Nope. I must have lost you. Oh, Sister Gwen.
Peace.
Shakur. Peace.
Peace.
Diesan Productions and Celestia Danes. And the Most High is my light and salvation. And Afro Blue Atlanta. Hey, Queen. And Brother Roy Zero. Good to see you, King. And Sister Princess K, how you doing, sweetie? And Sister Ja Africa. I love Sister Ja Africa. And Brother Doug.
Peace.
And let's see. Brother Adam Gidry, good to see you, King. And I think what's it? Celestia Days. I might have mentioned to you already. Brother Dara Eiffel again.
Pine Tops, North Carolina.
Second Ezra, good to see you. And Sweet Tea. All right. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for coming on in because you surely don't have
Anybody got anything to add on? Or any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
And then we open up so you can come on and talk if you want to.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let me see if anybody comes on in so that I'll know if I'm supposed to open up. Let me stop. I don't need to share the screen right now. So I'll keep on coming back. But if anybody has any questions, just let us know.
Oh, you want to add something? You have something to say? Get it out. This is your chance.
Yeah. This is your chance, without a doubt. I mean,
you can add on, you can question, you can, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we just, this is just home. This is not one of them big old giant channels or anything. And I like that. I like that it's about us being real.
Absolutely.
And eschewing all of the, like, oh, we got to be popular, or we got all this stuff that they put out there. It reminds me of the sermon, or not the sermon that Jesus gave, whatever his name was, for real. But I think it's a collection of wise Black men. But when the devil was supposedly tempting him and he's like, I'll give you everything that's in front of you. I know there's so many people alive today who would have been like, yo, all right, devil, I'm taking it. It's a hypergamous move to get together with a completely untrustable psychopathic murderer. Oh, Sister Guambe, there you go. Peace, Queen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to re-emphasize a point, was that a lot of times we're talking about like this stuff is in the past, but actually they're still doing that. That's what the school system controversy is all about. They're still trying to brainwash us and keep control of our children's minds and create that new narrative. So I emphasize again, homeschool your children, because
100, absolutely.
Excuse me, because we got to have our children prepared for the world that we are going to live in.
Yes.
And we don't, a lot of times we don't get that. Rich white people are educating their children to take over the world, and they're giving subpar education to the masses, and we can't afford that.
That's right.
And so that wanted to emphasize that. The other part is that I want to emphasize is that Africans came to America for millennia. So we've got a lot of different kinds of exoduses, our interests to this continent. So it's no one truth for it. It's several. It's we've been doing this a long time, over generations. So just like if you look at the highway and you see all the people going in a one direction, but you see it every day. That's how they came to America. So we're not negating some of the other nations that came to. I mean, the other.
Oh, not at all, not at all. But there's only one first. There's only one original man.
Yeah, we are the
one original man. All right.
Oh yeah, we're absolutely the first original man, and we're not limited to Africa. All around the world, you got Black people with woolly hair that never even been to Africa.
Absolutely, I try to tell people that nobody is born from a clump of earth. You're born out of the womb of your mother, or the uterus of your mother. So wherever she carries you and drops you off, that's where it is. You know what I'm saying?
And that's all around the world. If you look at early pictures all around the world, there are people with woolly hair and black skin. I tried to, I saw my professor was looking at pictures of, I forgot where it was, but I said, oh, they're African too. She says, no, they never been to Africa, and they have a 65 million year history, and they never been to Africa. And I'm looking at these Black people with woolly hair, and she could show me picture after picture of Black people with woolly hair. So just because we got woolly hair and black skin don't mean that we necessarily came from Africa, but a lot of us did migrate to here. And so we've been all over this planet. We're still on this planet, and we got to fight the devil because they're trying to destroy our planet.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the tribe of Shabazz went into Africa. They weren't from Africa.
Okay.
The tribe of Shabazz went into Africa and populated it. They weren't from Africa. That's what Honorable Elijah Master Fard Muhammad taught us through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All right.
I believe you. I mean, I can buy it.
And like I said, the only reason we got a 25,000 year history,
I like that,
which came from the Master Fard Muhammad, which goes back to the Mayan calendar. That's the only calendar we got out here with a 25,000 year history is the Mayan calendar. And that also equates with how long it takes the Earth to go around this galaxy, 25,000 years.
That explains that name, 25-year cycle.
25,000 year cycle. That's right. Because we on this place, we live on a spaceship. You ain't got to build one. You live on a spaceship.
Well, this coincides with this time, where it seems for those who are dependent on Western civilization, that it's falling apart. But it's coming up in a cycle where they've sung songs about, the time of Aquarius, where it's like the growth of a plant, where we're going into the season of spring and summer, but it's on a spiritual level where everything is affected, so that lies and falsehoods no longer are sustainable in the transformational just climb that we're achieving in this cycle.
Exactly. And they're never sustainable.
Right.
That explains a lot.
Because the heavens and the earth were created with truth. All right.
Except one thing is that if the devil is trying to sabotage us being ready for it, then we will miss it. So
the devil can only sabotage it if you follow him.
Right. Like if you're a seed in the dirt and you follow the grubs that are trying to tell you, you're just a grub, then you'll never burst forth from the seed.
That's why that's why he changes the history. That's why it's so important to change the history. Because then they get you pointing in the wrong direction and going in the wrong direction. Wow.
They want us to miss our cycle.
Exactly. But I'm here to put you. We here to put you back on the cycle.
That's what they're doing.
That's why we have the indigenous Ramadan, which is coming up December 1st, to put you back on your cycle, because you have a circadian rhythm. You have a lunar cycle, a solar cycle, a galactic cycle, a universal cycle. You are a clock. Your body has clocks. It has to be attuned to certain frequencies and certain times to operate properly. So during this time, which we call the setting of the star Sirius, which begins around this time that you call this Thanksgiving, this time of year is a special time of year.
Yes.
That's why they implant the holidays on top of it. See? The time came first. The movement of the sun and stars came first, and they put the holiday on top.
Right.
All right.
And it all.
That's why I said these were not economic holidays. They were spiritual holidays, even for the Europeans.
Right.
But if they put their false god or thing that we worship on there, then it pollutes the thing that we're trying to build. They pollute it and distort it, and so it negates the purpose.
Exactly. So it's muted. Exactly. Mutation. To mute something is to cut it down or to cut it off. What do you expect a mutated man to do?
So they poisoned it. They put their stuff on top of it and poisoned it and defiled
it. Cuts the power right off. Exactly.
And so that's what they're
trying to get you back in your power. That's why on November 1st, you should join the Ramadan fast. It's not a religious fast. All right?
Okay.
But it's a spiritual fast. And it's a physical fast. And it's a recalibration time. We're going to recalibrate you with your 25,000 year cycle. So starting December 1st, from sun up to sundown, you don't eat food. You can drink. You can drink water. You can drink tea. Don't eat no smoothies or nothing like that. So, but sunset.
What about juice?
I wouldn't eat juice drink juice during the day either. Juice, you know what I'm saying? So just water and tea. Tea you can sweeten a little bit. Juice is just a whole lot of sugar at this point.
Right.
You don't really need to stimulate your gut like that. But water and tea, no coffees.
Right.
All right. And if you're trying to get off coffee, it's a good time to get off coffee. You can switch to that. They have some type of chicory coffee you can take. You go to the health food store and you get the chicory coffee, and you take that during this time, and then you can get off coffee by January if you want to get off coffee. Easy enough to do. This is a great time to get rid of bad habits. Because the fast which is just sun up to sundown, will allow you to recalibrate even your digestive system, because your digestive system is off and it's been hijacked by pathogens and anti-nutrients based cells.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna get you back on track, but join us for the fast. That'll help you out a lot. And if you only do it for 3 days out of the week, do it sometime.
Right.
All
And
right?
we do pray.
Yes, the prayer and meditation is critical. You're gonna be doing 3 prayers or meditations a day: sun up, midday, and sunset. All right. Like I said, we can talk about that tomorrow too. We're going to detail.
And it's good. Y'all doing good. And I'm glad to speak to you. Glad to talk to you.
Glad to have you, Queen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to jump off.
Okay. Thank you for joining us. It's always wonderful.
Yeah. So, fam, anybody else want to add on?
Let's see. Let me go back on over here where I can see Sister Celestia Danes. I would like to make known that fetal powdered remains have been mixed in about everything on the supermarket shelf. Semenex HK293 flavoring.
Yeah, that's stem cells. That's the good stuff.
Goodness gracious. And sis and brother Doug, I need to learn more about the age of Aquarius.
Don't worry about that. That's a European terminology.
Yeah.
Just so you know. So we don't worry about that age of Aquarius thing, because it's kind of off. We use it just for reference point because we're making a change. All right. Because we don't follow the zodiac, so we can't be in the age of Aquarius.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because they developed the zodiac.
We don't zodiac. We have a system that they extracted the zodiac from.
Oh.
We have a Zodiac calendar, but we don't have a quote unquote a zodiac, because you look at the zodiac and the stars, it don't even match up to what the hell they talking about on the natal chart. So that's another story.
Okay.
All right.
And let's see. Hebrew Sabbath is a light-born reset from the galactic universe's center, a download time with the new moon and phases.
That's right. But we got to understand that we are before the moon. So we do not align with the moon.
You said that before. Right.
So that's why Ramadan is being calculated wrong in the Muslim world, because they're following the moon. The moon came after our creation. The moon is the sign of the cataclysm. And so only somebody that came after the cataclysm will be even a tune o'clock to the moon.
Right.
Because they're not in line with they weren't here with the creation of the universe. Right. See, we don't use the moon like that. You can use the moon to measure, because it is on a cycle.
Right. So
yes,
a wonderful.
Yes, but we use the stars. And remember, the moon is dead. The stars are alive.
Right. There's nothing coming out.
The moon is dead. It just reflects light. It doesn't generate any light.
Right.
All right. Yes. Yes.
You see now, Sister Ever is called Bio Coffee. I still like to learn what they're up to. I hear you, brother Doug. I hear you. And I said the galactic center is its center. The moon is time to it. There you go. Okay. Yes, Queen. That's right.
Yeah. So I just want everybody to know, because everybody gets this moon thing mixed up. They're looking at the moon and no, we the moon. No, we stars.
Right.
Planets.
Right.
Not dead rocks.
Right. So our expanse goes all the way out.
Yes.
Right.
The things that are aligned with the moon come after the cataclysms. All right. And like I said, tomorrow night we'll get into a little bit of that.
Right.
Yo, but if nobody else want to add on, you go back to that.
Let me put in what I hope everybody who has joined in and is listening, let's see now, has already done, which is, let's see now, where is it? It should be right there. There it is. All right. I know and I pray that you have purchased this book, these books, all 3 of them, because they're for you. And when you read them, you know that I'm not kidding. My king isn't kidding. These books wouldn't exist without my king. And I thank all of you who have purchased this book, who inspire me and keep me going day after day after day. You inspire and keep my king going. Day after day after day. It's a beautiful thing. We empower each other. We make each other stronger. and we build. This is what civilization is all about. Real civilization is about realizing that we have a necessity as a people to strengthen our fortifications, and then we build up each other. So that's what is the whole motivation of my work, and I know McKing's work. Okay, so we'll hope to see you tomorrow.
Yes, and and enjoy your Thanksgiving, because that's not their holiday. That's just our hospitality, our natural hospitality. That's all it is. All right. We always going to make some food for you. If you come in from a long journey, we're always going to give you a place to sit down and rest your head. All right. But we have to remember that we have to do that, and we have to qualify people for that now. Right. Everybody just don't get it on because everybody ain't your people.
Right, exactly.
Right? Everybody don't mean you're no good. You know
and they could be black.
You have to learn how to vet people.
Yes, and feel comfortable.
Yes.
And confident doing that. That was a hard lesson I had to learn when I was young, that I have a right to be choosy and say, no. I want to be nice to you, but I could tell you a whole lot of work. I see.
Yes, December 1st. That's what I said. And
Brother D.A. said he wanted to ask about honey.
Yeah, you can eat honey. You get you some Manuka honey, or you get some buckwheat honey. Honey has a lot of good enzymes for you. If you ever remember, honey doesn't go bad.
Yeah, sure does.
They go into the pyramids and they found honey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People use it topically for sores and things that won't heal. They put honey on them, and that heals some things. So yeah. And we use honey we use honey during our monthly fast, so our 3-day fast. And every month we have a 3-day fast. And we do use Manuka honey, because that's going to give you those enzymes and things like that to keep you going and help you repair. They also do gene repair, believe it or not, Manuka honey. All right.
So you saying, Sister Afro Blue, your cousin practices Ramadan in June.
He practices in June, and sometimes he practices in August. Sometimes he practices in September, because it's moving, because it's following the moon. It's going all over the place. Every month, every year, it's a different month. All right. Nah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, like I said, that's the Arabs. Like I said, but we're in a 25,000 year cycle.
Right.
All right. And this is about the 15,108th year of that cycle.
Oh, is it only the 15,000?
Yeah. So
there's some great stuff.
Yeah, all right, so don't worry about it. We good. Our journey for this cycle is more than half over.
Right.
But we in this home stretch now. You know what I'm saying? And remember, if you ever, like I said, we ever get together and do some genealogy, then you'll see that, time ain't what you thought it was.
No, it's not.
Time ain't what you thought it was.
When you told me that my family went back to 1700, and that was just as far as you look.
Yeah, that's far it is.
Knocked down.
Yeah, here, exactly, here in this country. Yeah,
here. No, I know, of course.
I'm just saying, though, we go here. I'm not saying your country goes. That's what I'm saying.
But still, the way that they give you an impression as a Black person, you always feel like you just got here. You have no history that goes far back, but I'm just looking at that and I'm like, God dang, I own this joint.
Yeah, exactly. Now you grounded.
Yes, exactly. This is my home. This is my land.
Yeah. So the sweetness we used, you will use stevia, honey, raw honey, and maple syrup. They don't sell organic honey, and organic honey has been made illegal in the United States.
What?
Because they can't confirm it's organic.
Oh, because it's
so nothing can be certified organic in the United States as far as honey.
Wow.
Just so you know.
That's why.
But organic is an overused and misunderstood title anyway. All right, we can talk about that tomorrow too, if you want to. We got to talk about it. You got to talk about organic convention. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow too.
Right.
Yeah, but stevia, honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar,
palm sugar, date sugar,
or you can just take dates. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you make a smoothie, you want it sweet, you can just put some dates in there. That'll sweeten it up. Take the whole date, drop it in there, and just blend the thing up. All right. But yeah, but white stuff, no white sugar, no white rice, and you know.
Yeah.
You know the deal.
Yeah, totally denatured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fam, we good.
All right. Love you, family.
So tomorrow day I'll be sending you out the links before the class starts. So keep your email at if you don't see it by about 5:30, then check your spam folder. But I'm gonna send out in the afternoon. So they ain't gonna come, it's not gonna come before 4 o'clock.
Mm. Oh, are they? Ooh, that's scary. Yeah,
Fetuses are organic. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to push that cannibalism big time.
Babies are organic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, because I think that maybe they do that because it tarnishes the radiance of your soul.
No, you know why they do that? They have more placentas than they know what to do with.
Oh, that's scary.
And they have more abortions than they know what to do with the set. Remember, they don't just toss it. They don't just flush your baby down the tube after an abortion. Oh. They keep those cells. They make stem cells from them. Right. All right. They keep the placentas. That means they overrunning with body parts.
Wow, that's sad.
That's all it's saying.
I did a story about China, and they take powdered baby supplements.
That's how you got fluoride in the water. You had sodium fluoride that was old. The factories are full of sodium fluoride. Right. What can we do with this stuff?
And they think, can we make a buck off of
exactly.
it? So why wouldn't the abortion clinics, who are run by the same mindset, think, can we make a buck off of this?
The abortion clinic is connected with the pharmaceutical company. Right. Wow. Come on. If you look back far enough, you'll be seeing like, oh, this pharmaceutical company owns this abortion clinic.
And they got them on camera, Planned Parenthood, confessing that, oh yeah, we sell the fetuses.
What are they gonna do with them?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want it. You didn't want it. What you worried about? You didn't want it.
Yeah. And how many experiments are they going to do with that fetal material? Right.
They need that. Remember, they dying people. They sick people. They want every. Yo, that placenta is full of melanin. Look at the placenta. You see how dark it is? That thing full of melanin. You think they don't want that?
Right.
Especially that black placenta, that black woman placenta, please.
Right, because the sale of melanin tablets is through the roof. And they even had to warn them, please stop giving your children melanin tablets, melatonin, because it's causing issues for them. They're just not made for that stuff.
Yeah, I see melatonin at everybody got, Rite Aid got melatonin, CVS, everybody sell melatonin. Wow. Got shelves full of it. So it's being abused, and it's crap. You know they mix that stuff. But yo, we gotta go.
Okay. Love you, family. Peace.
Peace.
See you next time. See you tomorrow. I'm still here because I'm trying to get on out. I got it. Peace, family.
All right.